ABC News at the bottom of the hour. I'm Jeff Vaughn from on LACA. You may want to clear your lunch plans after you hear this story. Original Tommy's is celebrating its 80th anniversary today by selling its famous chili cheeseburgers for just 80 cents. One-day deal runs from noon until 8 p.m. at all 32 Original Tommy's locations. The original Beverly and Rampart stand is hosting live entertainment and giveaways. LAUSD is warning parents about a dangerous new social media trend involving Orbeez water beads. Recently, some students at a college prep school in Van Nuys became sick after taking part in the so-called Eating Orbeez challenge. Doctors say the tiny beads can expand inside the body, creating serious choking hazards and internal blockages. More KBC News at the top of the hour. Get news and insights at onlaca.com. I'm Jeff Vaughn on the John Phillips Show.
In Long Beach on the 405 southbound, before you get to Long Beach Boulevard, clearing a wreck from the carpool lane. It is still going to be a slow ride from Avalon Boulevard. Then in Carson, 405 northbound, right at Alameda, we've got an accident blocking that off-ramp. Buena Park, 91 east to the 5 south, trying to get a crash cleared from the carpool lane. In downtown LA, in the 110 northbound, right at 3rd Street, the right lane is blocked.
Okay, I don't know a lot about this event yet, but my buddy David at Joe's Tequila Bar told me that it was coming. June 25th through the 28th, there is going to be a special multi-day agave festival coming to Santa Fe, and a whole bunch of great places are going to be involved, including Tequila Bar, but also including Paloma Restaurant, which Paloma is a great spot by the rail yard, and they make 3 different kinds of homemade michelada mixes. It was fabulous. They have great chips and salsa, too. There's so much good food in Santa Fe. I could sit here and talk about the restaurants in Santa Fe till I'm blue in the face, and sometimes I have. It's never been easier to get to the city of Santa Fe. There is a daily direct flight on American from LAX to the Santa Fe airport. I take that flight all the time. You're 2 short hours away to the beautiful city of Santa Fe, and once you're there, you don't even have to drive. Get the free visitor's guide at santafe.org. Sterling Venue Ventures says tons of live entertainment coming your way. Coming to the Spawn Theater May 19th and 20th. It's William Shatner and Neil deGrasse Tyson, an engaging 2-part conversation called The Universe is Absurd. Then on July 10th, it's Bobby Brown. Coming to the Kenny and Nora Hills. Bob Thornton and the Boxmasters, Australia Thunder from Down Under, Matthew and Gunnar Nelson, Orianthi, Ambrosia, Pancho Sanchez, Young Dubliners, Queensryche, Jeff Tate, Selma Houston, and more. Coming soon to the Oxford Performing Arts Center, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and the Hollywood medium Tyler Henry. Visit more music needs at soul.com for more information.
Drivers who switch to Progressive could save hundreds just by bundling home and auto insurance, because you can't go wrong saving money. Unless you spend it on a guitar, never learn to play it, but lie and say that you did. Then someone hands you a guitar at a party and asks you to play, so you decide to improvise. This. Well, don't you know that? Not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. He counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. 800 Grainger, click Grainger.com. Onboard infotainment system. Click B. Enjoy the ride with
Taking a look to the wrong turn. It was the right turn. That made it long. Boys who shot told me just where to stop. If I wanted to play even further, I didn't know I'd find her all the daytime, baby. I'm the whole world I'm
It's Randy Wayne here on the John Phillips Show. Johnny's back on Monday. If you want to comment on last night's debate, did you watch this thing? I listened to it while I was meal prepping my Peruvian chicken thighs, and I was regretting listening to every second of it, but I'm so glad it's the last one. 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Kirk in Buena Park. Kirk, hello.
Hello, Randy.
Yeah, I just called it because something that's bothered me. Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. I was born and raised in Southern California. But what people have, they never talk about it, don't have to realize, not everybody gets to live at the beach. I would love to live on the shoreline of Big Bear Lake. I can't afford it. There isn't really any available. And as far as affordable housing, with the government, I'm surprised they haven't come up with this notion. Remember with the westward expansion, you know, whatever Destiny, whenever they built a railroad, towns sprouted up along the railroad line. Start building out by the high-speed rail. Businesses will follow. Industry will develop. Because there's a lot of vacant land out there.
You know, it's something that Steve Hilton talks about. Only 6% of the state of California is developed. Only 6%. It is a massive state, and whenever you drive up the 5 freeway, you sure see a whole lot of nothing here between Buttonwillow and San Mateo.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I said, it's not everybody gets to live at the beach. I understand you're tired of being up to your hips in snow if you live in Minnesota, you want to go where it's warm. Well, there's a certain saturation point, and I think we've reached it.
Thanks so much for the call, Kirk. Appreciate it. Let's go to Kathy in Costa Mesa. Kathy, hello.
Hi. I wanted to comment that it would have been nice for somebody to ask these candidates how they feel, or do they support the meth head teeth project, future fraud, and maybe a few follow-up questions that are always telling.
You know, it's one of the things, when you've got another one of these debates with 7 candidates on the stage, it's 60 seconds. We only got to like 4 or 5 different topics, and there's more important things. Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. Let me just tell you, if you're really curious about who you want to vote for, and you feel like you haven't learned enough from these candidates, the long-form interviews really do such a much better job. And I'll give a perfect shout-out. Ashley Zavala on KCRA3 has interviewed one of these candidates for a half hour. Like 10 minutes of it goes on her show on California Politics 360, which airs on KCRA, KTVU, and Fox 11. But on the YouTube channel for KCRA, she has a 30-minute long-form interview with every single candidate, asking very relevant questions about a whole bunch of different things. With that, let's go back to the debate that aired on KPIX last night.
Thank you, Mr. Sarah. Mr. Hilton, you have 30 seconds.
Let's hear what Hilton has to say about affordability, but they forgot to turn his mic on.
Thank you very much. I love the way Matt talks about how he's going to lower costs when his city was recently rated the most expensive, the least affordable for housing in the world.
That is true.
That's why we're fixing it. That's why we're building housing, Steve. That's how it works. He's not fixing it because we're building housing are as high this year as they ever were. All the plans he
See, that's why I go back to my original question. At what point do you build enough housing that the costs come down? Like, when do we get to that point?
All the plans he talks about have not actually reduced the cost.
And the way that we are currently building is demolishing a lot of old buildings and replacing them with new buildings. We want to demolish single-family homes with SB 79 and turn them into apartment buildings. So in essence, we're actually taking away a lot of housing to build new housing.
All the plans he talks about have not actually reduced the cost of housing, because fundamentally he supports the policies that have made housing and gas the most expensive in the country. We need a change from those policies, not more of the same.
But Steve, you can't just say success on interim housing. Now you're against it because I'm in the race. I mean, come on, you're talking out both sides.
Thank you, Mr. Mayhem.
Everyone has their canned lines, their canned attack lines. I'm so over the 7-person debate format.
Mr. Villaraigosa, people are leaving California. Our population has been dropping over the course of the last several years.
That's right. The population is in decline. Los Angeles County lost 50,000 people, but still we need to build a whole bunch more housing. I'm so confused.
And many of the people who are leaving are making north of $200,000 a year. How do you reverse that trend? You have 1 minute.
Let's be clear. Sacramento's too expensive. This is the toughest state to do business in the United States.
I think you mean Sacramento makes it too expensive. Sacramento actually is the Sacramento area cheaper than the Bay Area, and a lot of people moved there during COVID.
Sacramento's too expensive. This is the toughest state to do business in the United States of America, including for small business.
This is that lane of a centrist candidate, appeals to both sides, that is currently polling at 2%.
We have the highest gas prices, on average $2 a gallon more. And the fact is, it's not Iran. That's the only reason, because that's picked it up another $1.
That's not ending anytime soon.
The fact is, it's Sacramento policies. You know, we've made it impossible for refineries to exist. Some of you know Valero, just down the way. They're closing.
Now, I swear that I remember this, but I've never been able to find the sound because it was in the pre-everything's on YouTube era. But Antonio Villaraigosa is totally right. Valero and Benicia just closed. But Antonio Villaraigosa, when he was mayor of Los Angeles, and I swear this was 2012, maybe 2013, at one point he was making some big speech about the environment and told Valero to get out of the state of California. But people can change. People can evolve. A lot of politicians, they're really just for whatever they think is popular right now.
Some of you know Valero, just down the way. They're closing. They're all closing. A dozen of them have closed. They produce the cleanest fuel in the United States of America. The fact is, we've got to address this affordability issue and look in the mirror and say, what have we done wrong? What do we need to do to address that affordability?
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Villaraigosa.
Not a lot of specifics, but he did diagnose part of the problem. All right, Tony, gold star for you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Villaraigosa. Mr. Bianco, cuts in Washington have resulted in healthcare premiums for programs like Covered California to skyrocket. Many people are dropping their plans and are just uninsured. What will you do to bring people back into insurance plans, and how will you lower premium costs to help keep Californians covered? You have 1 minute.
Yeah, I'll get into that, but the first thing that we have to realize...
Okay, so not answering the question. I'm just saying, as a person who consumes this kind of content a lot, one thing that I look for is, are you directly answering a question, or are you going to your talking points about how, oh, this is their fault?
I'll get in.
Look, there's one thing that's been pretty evident by the last 5 debates. When the state of California actually watches Chad Bianco ranting and raving, his poll numbers go down. He may be saying the right things, but he presents them in a very pissed off way that does not attract voters.
I'll get into that, but the first thing that we have to realize, and we've seen from the last 3 debates, and this is, I can already see this is going to be the 4th. When your 3-year-old writes on the wall with a marker, you don't give him a gallon of paint and let him fix it.
Who wrote that one? Senator Joe Kennedy from Louisiana?
We are in this position because every single person up here and the decisions and the policy decisions and the policy directions that they have supported throughout their careers that have put us here. And you're listening to the same things. You're listening to 30 years of more tax, regulation, and free stuff. And you think that the cost of living is going to go down? You think the cost of health insurance is going to go down? That is why all of these costs are going up.
Bianco's a little light on the specifics.
So when you eliminate the regulation, you eliminate the excessive business taxes that are forcing people out of this state, then you can fix government. You do not fix government with the same tired old policies of bribing you with free things for an election, and then 4 years later we're going through the same conversation because nothing changes. You've got to vote for something different.
And the biggest difference that I see, if, this is what appeals to you, is that Chad Bianco will say that as the answer to every single question. Steve Hilton will also say that, but will also prescribe what the policy fix is that he thinks would solve that problem. It's just a minor little difference in presentation style.
Mr. Bianco, could you explain how you would keep people on their insurance plans with healthcare premiums going up?
Number one, we wouldn't have to worry about healthcare insurances going up because of Washington if California managed its finances. We want to blame everything about California. Donald Trump was named 10 times in the opening statements. We want to blame 1 year of Donald Trump on 30 years.
People
We are going to fix the financial problem in California.
I don't think he has a plan for this.
We are going to fix the financial problem in California caused by all of these, the waste, the fraud, the abuse.
There you go. Why didn't you just say that? You could have said that a minute and a half ago.
The fraud, the abuse, the excessive fraud, embezzlement, and abuse in our medical system that allows that to happen in the first place.
You've had a 60% increase in your budget since you've been sheriff.
That's a weird one. The whole state of California's budget is 50% higher than it was 8 years ago.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra.
It's starting to get off the rails, kids.
Right.
That's a nice comment.
Mr. Becerra, the Trump administration announced just yesterday it will withhold $1.3 billion in Medicaid payments to California over hospice fraud. As governor, how would you crack down on
Just wait till they find out about the taxi cabs at the methadone clinics.
As governor, how would you crack down on healthcare fraud in the state? You have 1 minute.
Brian, the same way I did it when I was Attorney General. We established a bureau that dealt with Medi-Cal fraud, working with the federal government. Unfortunately, Trump is a problem because Trump took $1 trillion.
Yes, whatever you do, if Becerra is talking, don't play the T-word drinking game because you will get hammered.
Trump is a problem because Trump took $1 trillion out of the healthcare system, out of the Medicare, or the Medicaid and the Medi-Cal system.
This guy's the front runner. Iraq, Iran, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, doesn't matter.
Trump is now trying to deprive California of another $1 billion in health care for Medi-Cal. He doesn't have the right to do that. You still have to prove that there's been fraud and abuse.
Well, we've proven a lot of it just with the reporting going on from CBS News, who's hosting this debate.
He is in advance taking money, even though he hasn't proven in court what he's done. So we should go after him the way I had to do over 120 times when I was Attorney General. We will fight to get those tax.
Now, here's the strategy, and maybe this is the strategy that is working in the primary, but Javier Becerra will get attacked by every single candidate on this stage. And Javier Becerra will, in response, turn every single one of those into an attack on Trump and the federal government. And maybe that's the strategy. Maybe to get enough voters in a primary, that's all you have to say. It's sad that we can't talk about the real policy problems that are going on in the state of California, but it is a primary after all, and we are a very partisan society, as much as I wish we weren't.
Those tax subsidies under the Affordable Care Act back for California families. We will fight to make sure we get the money.
But how are you going to do that? You're the governor. You're not in Congress.
We will fight to make sure we get the money that we send to the federal treasury for Medi-Cal in California, because otherwise 3 million Californians are in jeopardy of losing their health care. We won't let Trump get in our way. And whether it's the Trump...
How are you going to build houses? We're going to build them. How are you going to stop Trump? We're just going to stop him. Becerra doesn't have a whole lot of specifics for anything.
Gas tax, because he's increased the price by going to war in Iran, or whether it's the tariffs that are taxed, we're going to fight against Trump.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra.
I don't even know how many times he said that word.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. On the issue of health care, do you believe in single-payer health care?
I absolutely have said over and over, yes, I do. Yes, let me just be consistent. I have Medi-Cal for All is a form of single payer. For more than 30 years, I have been
Medi-Cal for All? He gets a little confused.
For more than 30 years, I have been a proponent, an author of legislation for Medicare for All, which is a form of single payer, and I've done that over and over. Now, what I will tell you is this, Ryan. What we have to do, because people in California don't care what you call it. At the end of the day, what they want is access to a doctor when they need it, and a bill that they can afford to pay. And that's what
we don't have either of those.
And that's what we'll do. And when I was secretary, I advanced more coverage for more.
I don't know about you, but ever since my insurance through the SAG-AFTRA union changed certain different kinds of providers, now every time I get a blood test, I get like 20 different bills for $12 from LabCorp. And they will send you letter after letter after letter after letter, making sure you pay them. And I'm like, wait, why isn't my insurance paying for this?
More coverage for more Americans than ever before, and we lower prices.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. Mr. Hilton, as someone who has lived in UK under a single-payer healthcare system, you have been highly critical of it and said, as governor, the only way to bring healthcare costs down is to stop covering illegal immigrants. What do you say to voters who believe Healthcare is a right and not a privilege. You have 1 minute.
All right, I would love to hear about this. He has some lived experience in a country that had a single-payer system. Tell us why this idea doesn't work.
Well, I don't think it's fair that California taxpayers who can barely afford their own health coverage should be paying.
So we're not going to answer that question. Come on, Steve. You're supposed to be the policy guy.
For the healthcare of citizens of other countries. And if you look at the record of Javier, it's exactly what Chad was just saying, that you cannot believe that any change will come from these people. He, as health
It
secretary...
doesn't look like we're going to debate the merits of a single-payer system anytime soon. It's going to be attack, 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 attack. I'm going to tell you right now, I learned nothing in that 1 hour and a half debate, and I don't think you did either. It's Randy Wang here on The John Phillips Show.
JATC, dependable